Hey, how about it, race fans? Richard Allen of InsideDirtRacing.com and InsideCircleTrack.com coming at you with another one of my Rich's ramblings. And today my topic's going to be, since we're in World 100 week, as a matter of fact, I'm doing this on Thursday, September the 7th, so the World 100 kind of officially kicks off tonight with a couple of 12,000 to win preliminaries, which they'll have again on Friday, a couple of 12,000 to win preliminaries then before the big show on Saturday night, the World 100. And what I've been thinking about this for a while. Why is it that the World 100 is so big? What makes it such a big deal in the late model racing world? And so I've kind of been trying to put my thoughts together about why this race is so special compared to others. Because if you look at the purse, I think it's 56,000 to win this race. I mean, there are several more races that pay more. There have been a few 100,000 to win races this year, 75,000 to win races this year, as well as a fleet of 50,000 to win races as well that are almost up there. So what is it that sets this one apart from all the others? So kind of some thoughts that I had. The World 100 is dirt late model racing's most prestigious event. There's no doubt about it. Despite the fact that there are other races that may pay more along the way. So what is it that made it what it is? And one of the first things that came up was a name came to mind, and that was the name of Earl Baltus. Earl Baltus created this race. He created the Eldora Speedway, made the Eldora Speedway what it is, and all that. So he put all the work, he put the effort, he put the thought, the imagination into making this race an event. It's not just a race. I've been to some races that have paid big purses, not just this year, but over the last couple of years, in which, yes, it's a race with a big purse, but it's really not an event. It's just a race with a big purse. And I've seen a few like that, like I said, over the past couple of years. Well, Earl Baltus could have done that too. He could have just said, okay, we're going to have a big purse, we're going to call it the World 100, and that's it. But there's so much more to it. It's the event. There's so many things surrounding this race, leading into it. And, of course, you've got the mystique of the Eldora Speedway, which is there as well. Earl Baltus created the perfect track. I mean, it seems like that place produces every time there's a race there, whether it be the World 100 or the Dirt Late Model Dream, the King's Royal, whatever race it might be. It seems like it always produces a great show. And so the fact that it's on such a great track and has all that event character to it plays a role. And certainly since he took over the track, Tony Stewart has not only continued that, but even perhaps added a bit more to it as far as the event flavor of the World 100 as well. So it has to have that aspect too. A lot of races can pay big purses, and a lot of them do pay big purses. And I'm sure the drivers and the teams are appreciative of that they're racing for big money. But this is almost one of those races, I know this sounds silly, but it's almost one of those races where they would race and try just as hard to win it if it didn't pay anywhere close to the purse that it pays. Turn this into a 10,000 win race, and everybody wants to win it. It's at Eldora. It has one of the most prized trophies in all of racing, the Globe Trophy that the winner gets from the Eldora Speedway. But of course, it doesn't just pay $10,000; it pays more than that. So there is that element into it too. But because of where it is, because of how it got started all those years ago with Earl Baltus starting this race back then, being on the track that it's on, all of those elements factor in. Such an energized atmosphere, such an electric atmosphere. Now, I've never actually been to Eldora for the World 100. I've actually only been there one time, and that's for a NASCAR truck race. But even then, you can tell when you walk in that you're walking into a special place. It's not just any old dirt track. It is a unique place, a special place in there too. It used to be, a few years ago, I considered pretty much any race that paid 40 or 50,000 to win to be a crown jewel race, because back then, a few years ago, there was maybe 6, maybe 8 races that paid that kind of purse. And now, as I said earlier, There are a lot of races that pay big purses, and some of them bigger than the World 100. So, what are the elements that actually make a crown jewel? And does the World 100 fit all those elements? Does it check all those boxes? And the first is before an event can be a crown jewel, in my opinion, it has to have some element of tradition behind it. And of course, no race has more tradition than this one. This is the granddaddy of them all, to put in the Rose Bowl type of terms there. But it's got tremendous tradition. I mean, you look back at who's won this thing. Billy Moyer's won it. Scott Bloomquist won it. You just keep naming the names of the biggest names in the history of dirt late model racing, and they're the ones who have won this race. But dating back to whenever it first started. So, in order to be a crown jewel, you got to have the element of tradition, and no race has tradition like this one. I mean, yes, there are some great races, the North-South 100 or the USA Nationals, or events such as that have great tradition with them as well. But no race matches this one. Even this race's counterpart at Eldora, the Dirt Late Model Dream, which does pay significantly more than the World 100, but it tradition-wise, it doesn't quite stack up to the World 100. Another thing, of course, to be a big crown jewel race, it does have to have a payday. And this one was one of the first races to really start having that real big payday. Now, I know some, as I've said, some have surpassed it since then, but this is almost one where the money doesn't matter, but still you need to have money involved. So this one does have a nice payday. It's one of the first races to have a nice payday. So it checks the element, it checks the box of having a payday too. So it's got tradition, it's got a payday. It also, a race to be a crown jewel, in my opinion, has to have some atmosphere to it. And the Prairie Dirt Classic at Fairbury, known for its atmosphere, for that energized atmosphere. A race that I've been to numerous times, the North-South 100, very electric atmosphere whenever it's time for that race to get underway. And the World 100 definitely has that atmosphere. It will be a jazzed up crowd at the time when they're making those pace laps, when they're doing that 4-wide salute at Eldora on Saturday night. So it checks all those boxes: tradition, payday, atmosphere. It's got all those. Not every race can match that. Not every race has tradition. Not every race has a great atmosphere. There are a lot of races that have a great payday, but if they don't have the other two things, they don't make the cut. But of all the races that do check those boxes, this one still sits on top. The World 100. Ask any driver, go through any pit area in the dirt late model world at any time, and ask them, what race do you most want to win if you could? And the overwhelming majority answers, unless there's some reason, some other, because they grew up close to a particular track or something like that, the answer is going to be the World 100 because it's at Eldora and because it's the World 100. So I'll be anxiously watching. I unfortunately won't be there. I'm a teacher. So I can't really take that many days away from school to travel that far. So I'll be watching from afar, but I'm really looking forward to this weekend. I think it's going to be a great weekend. Just to throw out a prediction there, I did this in the Turn 2 blog that Michael Moats and I did, but I'm actually predicting Dale McDowell. I know the kind of the easy prediction is Jonathan Davenport, Brandon Overton, because they're both so good at Eldora. And of course, Davenport last year won the $1 million race, and then earlier this year won the Dirt Late Model Dream. But McDowell he's always been steady. He has that long string of top 10 finishes that he's had at Eldora. And he's been so good this year, winning the Topless 100. He won that $100,000 to win XR Super Series race up at Volunteer Speedway in Bulls Gap early in the year. So I'm going to say that he kind of keeps the momentum going at Eldora this weekend and picks up a World 100 win for himself. So anyway, those are my thoughts on not only the World 100, but who will win it and what makes a crown jewel. But until next time, this is Richard Allen of InsideDirtRacing.com and InsideCircleTrack.com saying I'll see you at the track.